How is everybody doing? And welcome back for another Strength Chat episode. Today, I've got a very special guest for you all. I previously spoke to this guy in episodes 57 and 101, episodes you all enjoyed. The man who needs no introduction, the one and only Jordan Syatt. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on again. How are you? What's been happening in your world?
Man, have a daughter, which is crazy. Got a 4-week-old daughter, and that's good. So that just happened, 4 weeks ago. I mean, that's the big one. That's the big one. Otherwise, like everything's pretty status quo. How about yourself?
Yeah, so I moved gyms, so taken on a new role probably since we last spoke, which is exciting. So that's opened up their sort of their second site, which is good. So growing the membership there. Yeah, no children on the horizon though. So other things to keep me busy. How's your routine been having a daughter? Has that impacted too much, or is it still early days?
I have a feeling it's going to get a lot harder. Um, it hasn't been that difficult. Now, granted, I'm very lucky. Like I have my own business and I can make my own hours. Like I'm not doing like a manual labor job. Like it's in a very fortunate situation. But like, and I also know some babies can cry all the time, be super colicky. Bro, my baby she's a chill baby. She's just like chilling. She really only cries when she's got a diaper full of poop or if she's hungry. Like that's it. So very rarely cries. And my wife and I have got a good system down. And so it's not been that hard. I have a feeling once she starts moving and like getting around, like I think that's when it's going to get difficult. And then if we're fortunate to have more kids, like dealing with the little one plus more a baby on top of it, that's when it's going to get really hard.
Yeah, she'll be crawling around trying to find things to either eat or play with. So I'm sure
Exactly.
that'll keep you busy. So obviously in the introduction that I said there, spoken to you before, obviously followed your content for a long time now, and I think one of the biggest things is really good at putting sort of like fitness myths to bed. So a couple of questions that I've been asked recently, and from speaking to members and other coaches, and from content that you've put out there as well, that thought process of training versus working out. Is there a difference? And this mentality of we have to know how many calories we've burnt whilst we're exercising. So I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts and how you kind of approach that topic with the clients that you've worked with.
Yeah, so let's start with the training versus working out one. When I was a younger coach and a competitive power lifter, I was really big on this. I'd be like, you're not working out, you're training. And I'd be like, no, there's a difference. And I think there is a difference, but I'm far less obnoxious with it now. Like I think it's sort of fucking annoying when someone just like, no, you're not working out, you're training. It's like whatever the fuck you want to call it, just you got to do it. All right. That's the most important part. Um, I think if I was working with a high level athlete or a high level lifter, I would have that conversation where I'd be like, hey, this is your job. This is what you're trying to pursue as a career. Let's take this seriously. This is training. You're not just exercising. Whereas for someone, I don't know, a 50-year-old woman, whatever it is, like someone who's just doing this for their health, I don't care what they call it. I just care that they do it. And I think the strength standards that we set for like what an elite lifter is so far beyond what the average person needs in order to be healthy. Like it's you don't need to be deadlifting 3 times your body weight. And like I love deadlifting. Like if there's ever a point in my life where I can't deadlift 3 times body weight, I will fucking kill myself. Like that's for me. Like as a competitive power lifter, like I always want to be able to deadlift at least 3 times the amount. But if I'm talking with just a regular person who just wants to be healthier and get stronger, I don't care if you can deadlift 3 times. Like that's irrelevant to me. I just want you to work out. I want you to exercise. If you like calling it training, cool, train. If you like calling it exercise, I don't give a fuck. It's just like let's just make sure you do it. and let's make sure you do it consistently, and you try and find something that you enjoy the most. So my progression as a coach has definitely changed with that as I've gotten older, just because I've realized I think it turns a lot of people off. Like, no one likes to be corrected. No one likes to be told like, no, it's this, not this. Like, people doesn't feel good. It's annoying, right? So if someone's like, hey, like, I'm gonna work out, I'm not gonna say, no, you're not working out, you're training. I'm like, that's awesome, go have a great workout. Like, so I'm not really gonna make content around that either. I'm like, if you scroll down my Instagram, I'm sure you'll find content from like, I don't know, 2013, 2014, and me being like, you're training, you're not exercising or working out. And it's like, I'll leave that up just because like I want my journey and progression as a coach to always be visible and you can always find it. But at this point in my career, I just don't give a shit what someone calls it as long as they do it. You know, and I even used to be very much in the mindset of, I always used to say something like, you have to find the exercise that you love. And as I've gotten older as a coach, I've realized a lot of people will not like exercise, period. They just will never like it. It will never be something that they look forward to. It will never be something that they enjoy, but you still have to do it. So now it's gone from find the exercise you love to like find the one that you hate the least and just do it because you have to be disciplined and you want to be healthy. That's it. So long roundabout answer, but that's really where I'm at mentally these days.
Yeah, and just touching on a couple of those things, do you think that's a natural lifespan of a coach or a personal trainer to go through that? Because obviously, for younger trainers listening, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to show off with this, and I'm gonna do that." Even though, especially from content you've put out there, and a lot of other things showing that, look, the best thing is just getting people into the gym, and it's going to be relative to that person what their training or their workout is going to look like.
Yeah, 100%. I also think like I think it's very personality driven, and I'm very lucky in terms of with my personality, and with who I've been mentored by and all of that, I've always been open to the idea of changing my mind. Whereas I think other people and their personalities or maybe who they've been mentored by, it's like, no, this is what you think. And what once you think that way, that's it. And you dig your heels in and that's how you're going to be forever. So I mean, I even see a lot of older coaches who've been doing this for years or talk about training versus exercise. And it's a huge part of their content. And they very much believe like that's the right way and da da da. And that's fine. But I think the best coaches and the people that I've always looked up to have always been the one who've been able to change their mind on certain things, who've been able to progress in their thinking. For me, I mean, one of the best quotes I ever heard was from one of my mentors, Eric Cressy. He said, if you're not looking back at the programs you wrote 6 months ago and thinking that you were a complete idiot, then you're not getting better as a coach. And it's true. It doesn't mean that programs were ineffective. It doesn't mean that they were bad or dangerous. It just means that now you're better and you should continue to strive to get better. And that's not just in your exercise programming or your nutrition consultation process, but also your mindset and how you communicate with people. I think you should always be trying to improve. And sometimes I'll look at the shit that I would put in content and I'm like, what the fuck was wrong with me? Like, why would I have ever said that? It's like I have articles that still do really well that I wrote in 2011, 2012, 2013. People find me from these articles on Google, and part of me wants to take them down because I'm like, this isn't me anymore.
Yeah.
But the other part of me is like, well, I don't want to take it down. I want my kids and grandkids and clients and everyone to be able to see my journey as a coach. So I don't take them down. But yeah, it's your mindset should change over time.
Definitely, I think that's a really good quote, and I know I've heard that before and looked back over programs that I've done or things that I've said, and it's kind of like you kind of want to look away a little bit and think, oh no. But I think the big thing that you said there is, from content that you put out there, it shows as a journey because the coach you were 5-10 years ago, you expect it's the same as as a lifter, as a power lifter. You progress in terms of the weights that you're lifting or the training that you're making. Maybe on a little bit of a tangent, but you said there, obviously, people can call it whatever you want for training, workout, just get it done. What are your thoughts when it comes to effort? Because that can be relative to the person as well. How do you gauge that or measure that in terms of making sure that they're getting the most out of their training or workouts?
Yeah, man, there could be an entire library filled with books all about the differences and the different types of people and different stages in their training. You could have two people who are equally as strong. They have the same exact max squat, for example, whatever it is. But they might perceive it at different levels of effort. If that, like, so one of them might be like, oh, that was like a 7 out of 10. And the other one will be like, no, that was a 10 out of 10. And it's like, that's so interesting that you could have like a 30% difference in how they're feeling, even though like it's the same exact total effort, or total force production is probably a better way to put it. Same exact force production to lift that weight, but 30% different in perceived effort. So there's a lot to talk about here, but I'll start by saying the amount of effort an everyday person needs to put into their fitness is significantly lower than someone who wants to make this their career.
Yeah.
Right? Like someone who wants to, it's sort of like the amount of effort someone needs to put into creating a side business, just like a little side hustle, is completely different than someone who wants to be the CEO of a major company with 1,000 employees. Two entirely different levels of effort and time and commitment and patience and dedication. So if you just want to get healthy, the level of effort that you need to put into it, it's not zero, but it doesn't have to be like your career, and it shouldn't be that amount. It literally just has to be better than yesterday. Yeah. Especially if you're just starting out. So something as little as if you're getting 500 steps a day and you're just sedentary and doing nothing, taking you to 600 steps a day is actually going to be great beginning process. Like going from, instead of saying, hey, we're going to eliminate all the fast food, it's like, okay, well, how about if you have fast food and an apple, right? It's like, it's not that difficult. It's just small little changes that actually add up big over time. Whereas if this is your career and you're like, hey, I want to step on a bodybuilding stage and win the Olympia, or I want to be like a world record power lifter or whatever, like you've got to put in real, like you cannot be missing sessions. You cannot be like, if someone is telling me, hey, I want to step on stage for a bodybuilding show in 12 weeks, it's like, you better hit your calories every fucking day. And you have to be very strict and like, no, you can't be going out and drinking and partying and doing all that. But if I have someone who's like, hey, you know what, I'd like to lose 20 pounds and, I want to be healthier. I don't want you being so strict. Like I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to have days where you don't hit your calories, because they're two entirely different lifestyles and goals. So, interestingly though, I bet a lot of the bodybuilders, like high level elite bodybuilders who can be super strict for 12 weeks straight and always hit their calories and not miss any workouts, their perceived effort might actually be pretty low for that. But someone else on the other hand, who's like, listen, all I want you to do is get a few extra steps in per day. I want you to like get in a walk, drink some more water. That perceived effort might be a 10 out of 10 for that. Might be super difficult. So you can't even just look at the actions. You have to look at the individual and say like their perceived effort really, really matters. And even though it might be nowhere near as actually difficult as what someone else is doing, their perceived effort is actually what matters most, because that's what's going to dictate whether or not they do it. So it's a whole interesting discussion, psychology, behavioral, individual, all of that. But yeah, I mean, I think no matter who you are, no matter what your goal is, how serious or lackadaisical it is, like you have to put more effort in order to succeed. There has to be an increase in effort no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. It needs to be sort of like either met in the middle or take steps towards that. And the word that you kept using there was obviously their perceived effort. And I think that's which is a really good point. People look at elite level powerlifters or bodybuilders and think, I want to be that strong. I want to look like that. Whereas it might come easy to the elite level bodybuilders or powerlifters because they've rearranged their life to fit around their training or their nutrition. Yes. Whereas, there's obviously a bigger population of general population. They've got kids who got to travel to work, they're,
Yes.
working 9 to 5 or anything like that. Whereas, there's going to be other things that are going to shift their priorities a little bit. With that as well, with the mentality, as we're touching on mentality, there is that thought process of success or failure. It's just like it's yes or no, and I think there's the benefits of strength training, which a lot people know but don't necessarily get involved, even though the entry point for strength training is pretty low. But there's everything within the fitness industry, if you like, is about the fat burning zone, or how many calories have you burned. If you've not burnt this amount of calories, then you haven't had a good workout. What's kind of the pros and cons of that, and ways that you've worked around that, so people can actually, because ultimately people go to the gym because they enjoy it. It shouldn't be a chore. So what are kind of your approach to that in terms of, maybe working around just that mentality of burning calories for exercise?
So just to clarify, the question is, how do I get people out of the mindset of just trying to burn more calories and focus more on strength?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a great question. It's a fight. It's a real fight, because I talk about it a lot, as I'm sure you see, about like, listen, you don't exercise to burn calories. You exercise to improve your performance, to get stronger, to get healthier, all of that. And there's always, every fucking time I say it, always at least one person who's like, wait, but doesn't exercise burn calories? I'm like, fuck yes, of course. Sleeping burns calories. Just being alive burns calories. Like, literally, there's nothing unique about burning calories. If you're alive, you're burning them. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you do, you're burning them just by reading this, listening to this. Like, blinking burns calories, breathing burns calories, having your brain function. Someone in a coma is burning calories just by keeping their brain functioning. It has to be. So burning calories is not special or unique or anything other than as long as you're alive. Usually the way I'll go about it is, I do my best as a coach and communicator is I try not to tell people things. I try and help them come up with it themselves. That's what I found to be the best conversational strategy to try and spark change. And so if someone is telling me like, well, what, like, I should be doing this because it's going to burn more calories, I'll, instead of being like, well, the reason you're doing this is because, I'll be like, well, let me ask you this. Are you happy with your progress thus far? And I'll be like, no. I'm like, okay, well, why do you think that is? They're like, well, I don't know what to do in the gym. Okay, so do you want to do what I'm telling you to do, or do you want to continue to do what you've been doing? Like, well, I want to do what you're doing. Okay, cool. So let me tell you why I prefer doing this as opposed to doing this. Do you want to hear that? Yes, I do. Cool. Once they've invited me in, then I'll do it. But I will generally start off with the question like, are you happy with the results you've had thus far? That's usually my opener, because they wouldn't be coming to me if they were. If they were happy with what they've been doing, then like they wouldn't come to me. They'd just keep doing what they're doing. But they're oftentimes, the people who are really focused on burning as many calories as possible, ironically, are working the hardest in the gym. The people who are really focused on trying to, like, they're doing crazy shit, bro. Like, they're going nuts. They're doing burpees and running and cardio and just trying to burn. And they're not getting more defined, and they're not losing any weight, and they don't like how they're looking. And I'm like, are you happy with the amount of progress you're making for the effort you're putting in? It's like, no. And I don't get it. It's like, do you want me to tell you why I think that is? Yes, please. Okay, cool. I think it's because you're so focused on burning calories that you're not actually building any muscle. You're not actually getting stronger. All you're doing is burning, which, by the way, like, let's just say the tracker you're using to burn calories is accurate, which it isn't, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say it is, and say you burn 700 calories in that workout. Like, do you know how fucking easy it is to eat 700 calories? Like, the toast that you sent me with the slab of peanut butter on it that you think was one serving was actually 3 servings of peanut butter. You easily ate all those calories back easily in about 4 minutes. So it's like, congratulations. How about we start building muscle? Because that's going to be where you change your body. And I use an analogy. It's like, I don't know, not necessarily an analogy, more just like an explanation, where strength training is like a long-term investment, where cardio is more of a short-term investment. And they're both important. You need both short-term and long-term investments. And what I mean by that is, strength training is something where it takes a long time to see the results, It takes a long time to get stronger. It takes a long time to build muscle. It takes a long time to get more defined. It takes a long time to change your body composition from it. But once you build that muscle, you've got it for it is so easy to maintain strength and muscle. So much easier. You can drop your training volume and intensity by 1/3 and maintain. Like, it's pretty fucking crazy. Once you've built muscle and you've built bone density, you're set for life. But it's a long term, it's a years and years and years investment to get there. Whereas cardio, it doesn't take that long to see the benefits of cardio. You go on a 20-minute walk, the changes you see on a cellular level are fucking crazy. You can improve your cardiovascular performance within a week. Like within a week, like, and athletes will be the first to tell you this. You see it improve very quickly and you lose it very quickly. You go away on vacation for a week, your cardio will feel like shit when you get back. From strength training, you go on vacation for a week. Sometimes you come back, you feel stronger. You had a little bit of a deload. You feel better. You're almost like you peaked yourself, which is crazy. But for cardio, you get it fast and you lose it fast. So it's something you need to consistently do, but you don't need to do a ton of it. Just small little bits consistently yield the best results, but it doesn't take long to gain it or lose it. Whereas strength is a much longer term investment. It takes a long time to gain it and a long time to lose it. So doing both is better than either alone, but doing all cardio and no strength is a recipe for a shit show.
Yeah, I think that was a really good explanation. That I'm a big fan of analogies and explanations. So I'll be using that. I'll be quoting you for that.
Love that.
One thing, because obviously, how you've explained it there. I'm sure, and I know for myself, and probably other coaches listening have worked with clients, or there's even people who are going to the gym thinking, "Yeah, that's me. I am putting lots of effort in." Do you think that it's maybe a lack of education surrounding that, and with the apps and the fat burning zones, those screens that you see in sort of like the big Globo gyms, that it's kind of pushing people away from that education of, look, we need to be building muscle and doing some strength training as well?
I think that's definitely a part of it. I think part of it is people believe they need to do cardio and they need to be in a certain zone in order to lose fat. That's definitely a huge part of it. I also think, and you know me, I'm very interested in behavior and human psychology and what's going on. And I think a large part of it is the weights are far more intimidating than cardio machines. It's easy, but like if we look at human behavior, people are always going to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Always. And cardio machines, it's fucking easy. You get on, you hit the button and you go. The workout might not be easy, but like your risk of looking like an idiot is massively reduced because it's not complicated. The stair machine, you go up, you walk up the stairs. Cardio, this treadmill, you walk on the treadmill. Rower, you pull the fucking rope, right? It's like the elliptical, you get on, you go, you're doing it, and you don't really have to worry about technique very much. You just do it until you sweat, and then you keep going. Weight training, even on machines, people have they're very self-conscious of how they look to other people. And people still feel that way on the cardio machines, but they can be back in the corner. Fewer people are looking at them. When you're in the weight area, you're around a lot of people and maybe someone's looking at you. They're waiting to use that equipment. You're worried about your technique. You don't really know the programming. You don't know how to do it. You don't know if you're doing it properly. Someone told you that this was going to hurt your back. Someone else said this was going to help your back. It's like too much. There's too much and it's too confusing. And so people are like, listen, I've got 35 minutes in here. I'm just going to go do the thing that's the easiest for me without having to think too much. So I think a lot of it is education and a lot of it is insecurity.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I had a conversation with a couple of the trainers that I worked with last week about, I think confidence is a big thing in the gym, and actually when people get stronger, it doesn't just allow them to get more confident in the gym, but I think that carries outside of the gym as well. Because if you can literally walk around. I had this conversation with a client who's just started training, and I was joking, saying, I bet you can walk around now thinking, I could pick that up, I could lift that, I could outlift that person. And actually, it fills with that confidence,
Yes.
which obviously, what we do in the gym is there to complement the things we do outside of the gym. And one thing that I wanted to touch on as well was, obviously life throws a couple of curveballs every now and again, and we need to adjust with it. Whereas sometimes, even when we're really busy, people always think that more is better, even though they're really busy. They try and cram those workouts in. Do you think, again, that's maybe a lack of education around managing that training, that actually drop it down to what's going to be the biggest bang for your buck, rather than trying to keep doing more and end up either starting to dislike training or injure themselves?
Yeah, man. I think most people, they massively overestimate how much they need to do. And they just think they keep needing to do more and more and more. And more. They like, even I remember when I first started getting into coaching and training, I thought I had to do like 20 exercises a day. And like, I thought more exercises was better. And it's like, no, 4 to 5 is all you need. It's like, you do it right, 4 to 5 exercises, you're fine. If you count like some like supplementary exercises, like some accessory work, maybe 6 to 8 on like the most. It's like, that's all you need in a day. You don't need that much. And I'll also say this, going back to the last point, in case there's any gym owners out there. If I would, let's say I was opening up a gym, or I had a gym, I think this idea is so good. And like, if you have a lot of people, not like a specialized gym, if you have a strongman gym or something, you have a different crowd. But if I had like a general population style gym, like an LA Fitness or whatever, once a quarter, so like once every 3 months, I would have a free strength training, basic strength training seminar, free for all the members. And if you weren't a member, you could come for like $10, right? And it would literally just teach like basic technique for like squats, goblet squats, push-ups, rows. It would be the most basic thing you could do. And I would give out a free basic beginner's workout program as well. Here's a 4-week program you can do. And it would be like, I would email it to them so they had video demonstrations and everything. And do you know how many people who like were only on cardio machines before? Like, and in the advertising, I'd be like, this is only for beginners, brand new beginners. You've never lifted, or like you're super new. So they would feel comfortable coming. Do you know how many people only on the cardio machines would come to this, and then like would then like sign up with for coaching or whatever it is? Because like, that would be a fucking killer idea to get the people who are only doing cardio to actually start strength training. And I've been thinking about doing something like this online, where I have like a beginner strength training seminar on YouTube or something, where it's just like, hey, I'm going to just could do like a several part series. Like, here's like technique for lower body movements. Here's technique for upper body movements. Here's a free program, whatever it is. Like, that shit would crush, and it would do so well for people.
I'm glad we're not going too far on, because we've had quite a lot of beginners coming into the new gym. So yeah, that's I'm glad you've said that. So it means I'm along the right lines. And I think what's really interesting from there is, if you do 10 exercises and feel like you need to do more, what's the next progression? 20 exercises, 30 exercises. All of a sudden you're training for 3 hours. Thanks a lot, Jordan. Loads of tangents and loads of myths busted there. The last question that I like to ask, though, is, from everything that we've chatted about there, whether it's for people going to the gym or coaches, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom?
Say that last part again. For who is this for?
So either for members looking to get involved in the gym, or people who are doing cardio and wanting to do strength training, or for personal trainers listening as well, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom?
Oh man, I think that the biggest thing, it comes down to stop worrying about what other people think. Like, it's really, I think so many of us hold ourselves back because we're worried about what other people are going to think. Are we going to look stupid? Are we going to make a mistake? What are they going to think? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't care if it's about doing strength training or stopping doing cardio, or posting on social media, or starting your own business, or asking the girl out, or asking the guy. Like, stop caring about what other people think. Or it's not even stop caring, because I actually don't like saying it. So I take that back. It's not stop caring what other people think. It's stop letting what other people think prevent you from doing what you know you should do, right? Because I think it's human nature to care what people think. And when anyone says they don't care what people think, they're lying. They're lying to sound cool and strong, and like they don't give a fuck. Everybody cares. We all care, right? Like, if you enjoy when someone gives you a compliment, if someone says, hey, you look really good, or hey, you're super strong, and you that makes you feel good, then you care what people think. Because if you didn't care what people think, then that wouldn't make you feel good, right? So if it makes you feel good, then something can make you feel bad. And on the other hand, like, hey, you're fat, hey, you're ugly, hey, whatever. It's like, hey, you're stupid, whatever. It's like that doesn't make anyone feel good. So obviously we're going to care what they think, but don't let the idea of them thinking that prevent you from going in the weight room, prevent you from lifting weights, prevent you from starting your business, prevent you from asking that person out, whatever it is. Like, just do it, because the only regret you'll have is not doing it. You will never regret doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the biggest thing there as well. Don't regret it. You've got to focus on what you want to do. Because like I say, people get involved in the gym because they enjoy it. It's fun. They get involved in powerlifting or whatever because they started to enjoy it. Thanks a lot, Jordan, for taking the time to jump on. Really enjoyed the last 2 times I spoke to you, and really enjoyed catching up with you today. For anyone listening who maybe hasn't seen your content, if they've been living under a rock, but if they've got any questions about anything that we've chatted about today or see your content, where can people find you or reach out to you?
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Like, you're a great guy, and I hope everyone listening knows how great of a coach they have. And so listen to what Steven says, because he's the man. And if you want to find it, you could Google my name, Jordan Syatt, Syatt. I got a podcast, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. But the Google machine will lead you my way. And I appreciate you, man. If you're ever in Dallas, please hit me up. I'd love to take you out, get a lift in, get some beers.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jordan, for taking the time to jump on. Thanks a lot to everyone listening, and I will see you all next week.